Here's a question. Should prisoners be allowed to smoke cigarettes in jail? They were up until 2015 when it was banned, and instead prisoners were supplied with nicotine patches. But then they started using nicotine patches combined with pages ripped from the Bible to make their own cigarettes, and so they were banned. And now we've got a situation where liquid nicotine, that's used to make e-cigarettes, is one of the most smuggled items in prisons around Australia. Victorian authorities have seized 450 litres of nicotine oil in the 9 months to March. I think this is one of those issues where every solution just creates another problem. And so I can't believe I'm going to say this, Freya and Caleb, but Caleb, I reckon, allow prisoners to smoke cigarettes, you'll solve a raft of problems.
I don't see why they shouldn't be able to smoke when everyone else is allowed to smoke. And I know you might say, oh, well, you know, you're in prison, you should be deprived of your rights. But let's be honest, prisoners are pretty prickly characters at the best of times, right? And so something to calm them down a little bit is probably not a bad thing. And it's probably also not a bad thing if they smoke themselves into an earlier grave. I mean, if you're in prison and you want to say, yep, I'm willing to give up 10 years of my life so that the taxpayer doesn't have to spend $100,000 a year to feed me and put a roof over my head. At least that's what it used to be. I mean, it was $100,000 a year 10 years ago. So I hate to think of what they're spending every year now to keep someone in prison. You want to smoke yourself into an early grave? Go for your life. Couldn't give a stuff.
I totally disagree. I mean, we should be trying to make prison as unbearable as possible. There are very few rights for prisoners, and smoking certainly is not one of them. And then you consider the cost to taxpayers when these people are out of prison, or even while they're still in prison, cancer treatments, all the medical issues associated with smoking. I am sure that the cost of treating them, whether they're prisoners or back in the public system, will far outweigh any potential taxes we collect from cigarettes. And therefore, why are we just allowing people to continue essentially their drug addiction and facilitating it?
Well, it doesn't. On the tax point, it doesn't. So in this financial year, we'll pull in $7.4 billion in excise, which is well down on what it used to be, by the way. It peaked at about $14 billion. But, of course, the federal government have buggered it all up with the illicit tobacco market, and they're now losing all the tax. But the latest numbers we have from the National Drug Research Institute is that it's $6.8 billion a year in healthcare. So the government actually turns a profit on smokers, which is why, as I've said before, they are the true lifters of this country. Smokers and drinkers are the true lifters of this country because they spend money, they give tax voluntarily to the government that other people don't. So it's actually a net profit maker for the federal government. So you can't argue it on that point.
My problem with the ban is it's not achieving what it was set out to do. The ban is ostensibly to improve the health of prisoners, except studies have shown that, 63% of prisoners, this is from the Medical Journal of Australia, 63% of prisoners upon release from jail smoke a cigarette the day they get out of prison. So they're not quitting even though the ban is in place. They're just finding other ways to smoke. Hence, we've now got this illegal trade within prisons. Have a look at this footage, amazing footage from Parklea Prison here in Sydney. See that bin? It was left in the middle of the courtyard. And if you can watch there on the screen carefully, we'll play it again. There's an item that falls from the sky perfectly into the bin. It's being dropped from a drone, flown over the prison yard. It's dropping a vape and tobacco into that bin. So aside from being bad, using drones to deliver illegal goods into the prison, I reckon find the operator of the drone and give him a job in the ADF. He could save us in the event of war with China.
I know we need him. And you know, the reports I'm getting are people having full-blown fights in prison now over cigarettes, because if someone manages to smuggle some in, it is genuine currency in prison now because they have made it a currency, just like they've done, of course, with the illicit tobacco market.